Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekly SIG Compute meeting. Let me just share my screen. Great. I'll post the agenda in the chat if anybody wants to bring up a topic. And I see we already have one topic. Asif, is it you?
Oh, yes. I forgot to put my name on it.
Yeah, so you're asking regarding
The migration, experimental migration options. So one question that you asked is, I think, was it Felix who commented it, about whether we should have a new CRD altogether or just reuse migration policy CRD with a experimental field, and whether or not this should be added also to the KubeVirt, like the cluster-wide CR. So I think these are the few unresolved questions.
So with respect to a dedicated CRD, Felix is on the call, right? So
Yeah.
Hey, Felix. So yeah, I like the direction of what you said there. But Vladik raised a good point actually, which is like, how do we wire this up to anything else? I mean, we can have, for example, migration policies referencing this new CRD, but I guess this kind of misses the point. So I just wonder, like, what do you have in mind? How do we actually, wire this up?
Yeah, I wasn't aware that it needs to be wired up to specific migrations. I was thinking this is more like a general setting on the KubeVirt CR, so I missed that point. So I didn't get to it. I read your messages, but I had no time to think about it anymore. So it's a valid point. How do you wire it up? Yeah.
The only thing is really how to connect between the migration policy and this one and this CR if we are taking this out separately. And I thought that maybe this is like too late in the game for right now. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I think I've added a comment just a few lines up, just like 5 minutes ago, about the current wiring, which I guess we don't really have time to change, but
I think it's actually not that bad, because if next cycle we decide we need new CRD or decide we want to graduate migration policy or any one of these things, we can just remove it and or move it to a new place. So I don't think it's that bad.
Okay. Then the second question also would be, I think, another topic that was raised is the current proposal says to also add this to the cluster-wide CR. Do we want to keep that? So the idea was you have a cluster-wide CR, and then migration policy overrides it, basically how it is. So the experimental.
My thinking is that no, I mean, we shouldn't add this to the cluster-wide. I think there could be a cluster-wide migration policy that kind of broad enough to target everything, and we don't need this on the KubeVirt CR. Yeah, I would refrain from this.
Yeah, that's fine. I think the policies are, they could be pretty wide, as you say. But yeah, as I mentioned in the comment, like it does show up in the VMI status due to the way how the migration policies and the migration configuration works today.
Yeah, I just from the consolidation of problems, let's consolidate it into the migration policy, and not to other CRs, and then it's kind of easy enough to manage, I think.
Okay. Again, like if you would look at the patch, like it's really not that many changes, and it's inside like the configurations in the migration policies only, but then again, it shows up in the VMI as well because of the VMI status after the vert controller resolves the final migration configuration.
Yeah, this is actually a good point, because I think that we have to. I think that we rely on this information showing up in the VMI status, but on the other hand, the VMI status is a stable API. Yeah, so this is I think it's a problem we didn't think of, to be honest. Right.
Does it have to be in the status, or can it just go through migration options between vert handler and launcher?
I believe the problem is between the controller and the handler. That the resolving of the final migration configuration between the cluster-wide setting and the migration policy is in the controller, and then it gets into handler and launcher via the VMI status. That's my understanding, but I don't really again, you know the code.
Yeah, no, I think that you're right. I think that vert handler doesn't is not aware of migration policies. It's solely basing its decision on the status. So that could be a problem.
Well, why is it a problem?
Because do we want to add, temporary fields to a stable API and then remove them?
Yeah, but they are behind feature gate.
Yes, and it's like that in a way already, because the migration policies, if you consider them alpha, like they're there as well. So it's already the case, I would say.
Yeah, that's also a good point. Yeah, I don't know if the conversation we had about whether it's okay to remove alpha fields from a stable API is okay or not, but yeah, either way we can. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think as long as it's behind the feature gate and this is a status and not even status within the migration policy. Sorry, within the migration options.
I'm not aware of like what exactly is wrong with it. I just know that people claim that it's wrong. But sure, well, we can clarify this corner case offline.
I think it's a separate conversation. We do have a lot of different things already in the status protected by a feature gate that not necessarily will remain there. So just look at the DRA, right? I mean, now we're taking this off, right?
All right.
Actually, one more point. This PR doesn't have a reviewer yet. It was refactored out from a existing web. So now that it's its own web, it doesn't have a reviewer. So would anyone like to volunteer? It's a short web.
Wait, say it again. I think I misunderstood.
I said since it was refactored out from an existing web, it doesn't have a reviewer.
Oh, the separate PR, the 293.
Yes, the migration experimental migration option. Yeah, this one. It doesn't have a reviewer.
Okay, you can put this on me.
Right, I put both of us. I know you have many of you already. All right. Anything else on this topic? Ali, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Yeah, I just wanted to call out all the open questions on this PR. The first one, I think Itamar, you raised this. Should we wait for the CAP 5304, the downward API on Kubernetes to be in beta um, before going GPUs with DRA feature gate to beta, right? I think there are two distinct points here. First, this feature gate protects the VMI API, and I think you summed it up nicely. The Kubernetes cap is an implementation detail, so that's a reader of the information and not necessarily a user facing API. And also that API is invoked from a driver, and it's not really any feature gate that is in Kubernetes per se. So we really have to wait for drivers to start consuming those beta fields when it does go to beta. So with that, I think that decouples both of these features nicely. And I'm also planning to work on beta cap 5304 in 137. So it will give us time between feature freeze and code freeze if there are any unforeseen risks that we have not seen right now. I don't see that happening, but there will be time for us to pull this feature out of beta if needed before code freeze. So does that answer the questions we had here?
Yeah, so I think that it's fine because, as you said, it's mostly implementation details. I just wonder if it could somehow, break the feature. But I don't think so, to be honest, because, yeah, I mean, yeah, I tend to think it's fine.
So if Kubernetes somehow decides to break this feature, we can negotiate between the NVIDIA driver and Kubert to produce and consume that information, right? That is on the driver and the consumer here. The only risk if that happens is all the other drivers will also have to do that, but I don't see any other driver coming up. So I think that risk is minimum.
Yeah, I also think that we can. I mean, let's say that it does happen. So in the before we do the next release, we can somehow implement both mechanisms or something like that, right? I mean, support both the old and new ways and have a fallback, and then simply delete this code later on when everybody aligns on the same implementation. I mean, as long as it's not API, then I think we can handle this.
Correct. Exactly. And that's the implementation detail we hide behind our API, right? It perfect. That is accurate summarization. So we would be able to protect it even if that happens.
Yeah, awesome. So, and this is low probability of happening anyway. So I think we're completely fine here.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next question that I see being raised more than once is what happens to the host devices with DRA, right? Because this was one of the first webs, and because we decided in Alpha 1 to separate out the feature gates during implementation, we now have two separate webs, one for GPU and other for host devices. The reality is on the implementation side, the GPUs and host devices are moving exactly the same. That is, there is no bug in host devices that is not present in GPU and vice versa, right? So while GPUs are being represented here, I don't see why host devices should be left behind. In fact, IBM has use cases for VFIO AP, AP devices where they are planning and using this feature for host devices. So we could stagger the beta of host devices for next release, but implementation wise, it will still be as mature as the GPUs.
Then
So
why not to just unify this in this? Just say both of these are going to beta, and that's it.
Okay, in this PR, okay. One option was that I will copy Web 10 as a separate web and make it Web 174 or something that relates to host devices with beta in this PR, and both of them will be represented in this PR if that works.
Yeah.
Or are you saying just make web10.md represent both of them?
I think the first thing you suggested will be cleaner, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. I can do that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead, you.
No, I was actually moving to the third question. So if we don't have thoughts here, then I can go to the third discussion point, which is a change in Go types. So Itamar, if you can open the third commit here on this PR. Yeah, or Shovel, who's working on the network DRA, is proposing that we change the structure of the claim request from string pointers to just string. So I looked at that change. This is not a user-facing change. This is just reorganization of the Go struct. Everything else will work as it used to work. The only reason why we had string pointers in the first place is because in the alpha version, Kubernetes API conventions ask you to make a pointer reference for fields that are optional. So we decided to go that route. But in Alpha 2 release, we have made additional webhook validation changes where if DRA route is chosen, then these two fields will be required. So it is optional only when DRA route is not chosen and device plugins is chosen. So considering that, we can, I think moving to string will be better pattern for the Go structs, because all the other, I've analyzed like 237 fields and optional fields, and none of them are string pointers in core API type. So having string will be a better pattern following the existing code base, and there is no breaking change here. This is just reorganization of the Go structs.
But then it would, but then it would also mean that it would always present, right?
No, the reason why it is not always present. So during when the device plugin route is chosen, this whole struct will be omitted because this is omit empty in the tag. So it will only be present, always be present if DRA route is chosen. If device plugin route is chosen, then it will always be absent. And that is the assumption we are making in the webhook.
Okay. Yeah, I don't mind.
Yep, sounds good to me.
Okay. Yeah, I have put all of the justification in this PR. So when you go and look at it, it should be there.
Okay, great. I'll have a final look after this call, but generally it looks ready to me.
One thing is missing for me is the documentation gap. Like I think I spoke to you yesterday. I think we need more examples here. That now we're going to beta, so I think we need to present, or at least we need to say that we're going to present something in the user guide, how this is working, when is it better to do one with another, and yeah, I mean, I think we need to say it explicitly that that's what we're going to provide.
Okay. Do you want the user guide to be coupled here and to be living here, or should it be a KubeVirt website thing?
I didn't understand. Sorry.
Yeah, so what I was thinking is adding the user guide as part of beta and the user guide goes into the KubeVirt website as documentation changes, right? I was confused if you want the user guide to live in the enhancement repository or in the KubeVirt website.
No, in the KubeVirt.
Okay, I see. Yeah, that is already part of the plan for driving this to beta.
Okay, maybe I missed this then.
Yeah, I see it's in the requirements for beta, so I think we're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, then that's fine.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks, folks. That's all I had then.
Thank you. And I see it's the end of the agenda. Anything else somebody wants to discuss, or we'll give you 7 minutes back? All right. If there's nothing else, then have a great day, everybody, and have a good web freeze.
Thank
Bye,
you.
see ya.
Thank you.